It's not a party without the drugs. Chapter 7. Wrap it up, pack it up, Hippie Fl1p. Preparation for Common Grounds began right after class. I called Mr. Dump and left a detailed voicemail explaining how I wouldn't be able to make it into the office for the rest of the week due to finals. By tomorrow, he would probably forget I even interned there. The next call I made was the most important call of the day. The phone rang in my ear until a friend of mine picked up on the other side of the line. "I need a zippy," I exclaimed. "Sounds good, swing through." It's funny how one person's voice could take you back to a past time. My plug's voice always took me back to my high school days. We had been partners in crime. The difference between me and him, well, he continued to sell drugs and I swerved down a different path towards a college degree, a future, a career. But an ounce of weed for only $2.20 was hard to come by. Plus, a bunch of doobies at a music festival sounded like an experience of a lifetime. So I drove my car back to my hometown, an hour away from Hamlin University, and I copped some fire buds from my plug. After securing the weed, I pulled up at Target. I purchased a small 750 milliliter bottle of rubbing alcohol, a small 4-count pack of clear vacuum sealable bags, and a 6-count box of black rubber gloves. If anyone asked, I was going to tell them I had one hell of a science project. Once I returned to my dorm room, from my adventure to Wisconsin, I unloaded all of my supplies onto my wooden desk on the right side of my dorm room. I stuffed a recently used shower towel in between the large crack of my door and the floor. I took a deep breath and stretched on the black rubber gloves. Then I got to work. I grabbed the weed out of my backpack and threw it on the desk. I flung open the desk drawer aggressively. My hand rifled drawer to drawer until I pulled out a grinder. I shredded the entire ounce of weed back and forth. Twist, turn, back and forth. The odor started to resonate in the air and mash into my white dorm walls. I stared at the huge pile of weed laying in front of me. My eyes illuminated with happiness and joy. It had been a while since I'd seen this much weed grinded up in front of me. I ripped off my gloves to avoid any chance of the scent being detected by the dogs at the security checkpoint, which I had read about on Reddit. I rapidly sifted through my bottom drawer, overflowing with miscellaneous items I'd stolen from my mother's house before I left for college. Item after item, notebook after notebook. My hands finally emerged with my mom's vacuum sealer. Excitement raced through me. I placed the machine on the table and punctured the cardboard box containing 4 vacuum sealable bags. A sense of success and power overcame my consciousness as I opened up the empty bag. Handful after handful, I loaded up the plastic bag until all the fluffy weed disappeared from off the desktop into the baggie. The black latex gloves reeked of a skunky aroma and my fingertips became coated in keef, so I dispersed of them into the trash can next to my desk. Then I stretched on another fresh pair of gloves. I plugged in the vacuum sealer and stared in amazement as the elastic bag suctioned tightly against the fine grinded green weed. I ripped the black pair of gloves off again. Paranoia rang in my mind. They can't even have a hint. I need to go to extreme measures. My entire career is on the line. I carefully poured the rubbing alcohol into a cereal bowl next to all my scattered supplies. I submerged the sealed bag of weed into the bowl of alcohol with cereal remnants crusted along the sides. My nose hairs tingled from the smell as my mind rushed back to the past. 3 years ago to my freshman year of college when cheap vodka and day drinking were everyday essentials to life. I grabbed another bag and the memory splashed with the alcohol onto my desktop, fading the wood like the times faded in my mind. I slid a new bag around the weed. Then I slid the open end into the vacuum sealer. I flipped the switch on as the bag collapsed and compressed airtight against the original bag soaked in alcohol. As I flipped the switch off, my paranoia vanished. The overall package fit airtight in the cuff of my open palm, double sealed. I threw the package up in the air several times over and over again. Each time the package levitated high up into the air and then fell back down into my cradled arms. Up, down, up, down, up, down. I imagined all the possibilities this ounce of weed had in store for me. 11 p.m. Hours later, after the adrenaline filtered out of my system, I woke up in my empty dorm room. The alarm clock was ringing in my ears, so I slapped the snooze button and hopped up. I swooped the sealed package up off the ground and stuffed it in between a pair of underwear and socks located in the bottom half of my green backpack. I believed if I placed it there, near the boxer briefs and uniquely patterned socks, the security would just skim over them. And hopefully the cops would skip over the briefs as well, because nobody wants to touch another man's drawers. I laughed a bit out loud. I exited out of my dormitory with my backpack and a cooler loaded with food. Well, Ted, my roommate, won't notice his 1.75 liter of tequila is missing from the fridge, along with his chocolate donuts, bread, lettuce, and water. Haha, I'm a shitty roommate. I popped open the trunk to my 2002 Pontiac Grand Am GT. I glared at my empty trunk, side to side, up and down. I imagined the tent, the camera bags, and then my backpack. Screech! Blake's car came to a halt as his closed trunk aligned with mine. He hopped out of his car and popped his trunk. Let's load this shit up and get going. 21 hours to Texas, baby. I glared at his loaded trunk. This motherfucker was ready. He had thousands and thousands of dollars worth of camera equipment all packed up. I placed my green backpack in the back left corner of the trunk. Then I quickly created a barricade. 1 camera bag, 2, 3, in went a 4-person camping tent, then an inflatable air mattress, another one, a canopy box expanded across the width of the trunk, 2 bottles of tequila, 2 camping chairs. By the time I went to go load the cooler and groceries, the trunk was packed. I looked up and down at my trunk. Up, down, right, left. The green bag had been perfectly tucked away in the back left. Not even a slight piece of green fabric was in sight. We tossed the grocery bags in the back seat and set the cooler up front in the passenger seat. Nothing like a roadie to start the ride, Blake said.